Hello, welcome to Bouncertraining.ie's Bouncer Awareness Course Level 1. My name is Dave Conroy and I have 25 years experience working as a bouncer in all sorts of different environments. I then went on to study asset risk management and I now work as a security consultant. Our aim at Bouncer Training in Ireland is to change culture within the security industry, specifically a lack of training, a lack of safety culture. In order to help us achieve this, we have decided to post all our training free online in a series of videos over the coming months, starting with our Bouncer Awareness Course Level 1 and following it with First Aid and Level 2. We're also developing a mindfulness course. I'm not sure if that's going to work online, but I'll most certainly try. The aim of our Bouncer Awareness Course Level 1 is to make bouncers aware of risks to their safety and well-being and enable them to put in place a system of work to mitigate against them. When I first started bouncing, it was about 25 years ago in a little nightclub in Wicklow. Things were all very different then. Every weekend they used to come down out of the mountains and all they were intent on was drinking and fighting. And that was just the way things were. There were different times. There was one particular song, Nirvana, Smell Like Teen Spirit, and when that used to come on, everybody, all the lads especially, all onto the floor, and the minute the chorus hit, the very same as the starter's pistol, murder. It was all in, free for all for everyone, and if you weren't in the middle of it, you could stay home next week. But wasn't bad all crack, but times have changed, and society has changed. If we want to look at a profession that has had to adapt to stay with changes in society, we can look at teaching. Up to when I was about midway through secondary school, corporal punishment by teachers was perfectly acceptable. If you missed your tables, you got the side of the table, a lot of the side of the table across the hand, or clipping the ear was regular. But then all the teachers were brought in one day and they were told, you can't put your hands on anybody. They were told if you put your hands on anybody, the headmaster won't be behind you. The board of management won't be behind you. The INTO, the teachers union, won't be behind you. If you put your hands on somebody, you're in trouble and you're on your own. So they brought in policies and procedures in order to give them guidelines on how to work, how to corporal punishment, guidelines on how to work, and to protect the teachers and to protect the pupils and everybody concerned. It is now time for the security industry to do the same. It's time to wake up and start protecting yourselves. The security industry needs to start conforming with modern day health and safety regulations, and bouncers need to start working within the confines of the law. In order for this to happen, the first thing must happen is that everybody's perspective on the role of a bouncer must change. It must change from enforcing the rules of the club or throwing out drunk people or stopping troublemakers getting in. It will have to change to making sure that everybody enjoys their night in a safe and responsible manner. It has to change to looking after the people. And I mean really looking after them. Customer service. And that's going to form the basis for a lot of our training. A lot of it is people management. How to manage people, how to look after people. And when you start to train like this and you start to work like this, you will find that the greatest, most sustainable dose of serotonin is to be got from helping others, expecting nothing in return. You will actually love your job, you will love your work. You'll be happy in your work. Everything will change. It's also very beneficial business-wise because one thing people want is to feel valued and feel safe. That's the future. We're going to start with the law regarding working as a bouncer. Whereas ignorance is bliss, it is no excuse in the eyes of the law. I can't understand how a government-sanctioned training course does not inform bouncers of what they legally can and cannot do. That in itself compromises their safety and well-being. So we're going to start with this, And so we'll all be aware exactly what the law is, what we legally can and cannot do, and we'll go forward from there. That's the best start, because as far as I can see, and I did 25 years on a door, and I didn't know the law. And as far as I can see, not too many do. So this is the first thing we're going to make you aware of, the law regarding working as a bouncer. We then go on to induction. In 2018, we believe it is completely unacceptable to compromise anybody's safety for profit. Your induction is about you. You're entitled to one on every site you go to. It will include your fire evacuation plan, putting together a fire evacuation plan, about your risk assessment, assessing the risks to your safety, about your safety plan. What have you done about these risks? It's about your safety, it's about everybody's safety. It's your right. Your right providing a safe working environment. We then go on to conflict management. We're not so naive as to think that there's no conflict in this job. It's full of it. But what we are saying is how you deal with it. And if you train how to deal with it differently and learn how to deal with it differently, you will find very little of it will escalate to violence. It's all how you manage people, how you manage conflict. So we're going to train for this. Threat zones and the use of force continuum. Throughout our training courses, I found that an awful lot of bouncers, even ones with years' experience on the door, cannot defend their personal space. Even after years on the door, and I did it too, I used to even say they can have the first shot for a certain period of time. I used to even say they can have the first one. Because you can't be letting people into your face. You have to defend your personal space. You have to start when there's first sign of aggression, you have to start putting your hands where you need them. Start talking with your hands. This we all go through in threat zones and use of force continuum. Reasonable force is another area, a very grey area. I'm trying to tie down some definition of reasonable force, and I didn't have very much luck. So what we did, we're going to introduce the use of force continuum, which will give you guidelines. Exactly how much force to use and when, and it will enable you to justify any action that you have to use in response, in reaction to an action. Working on the door. What we're going to do when we get to this section is we're going to show you scenarios and role play. Scenarios and role play for through experience, what we have found to be the most popular risks or incidents, and how to deal with these incidents. Refusing entry. Again, back to conflict management. How to deal with when it starts to escalate to violence. How to make people feel good, how to be valued. Working on the door, and we're going to do right up through scenarios where it starts with no conflict to the rise into conflict. But it'll be done scenario and role play. Again, working inside on the floor. Scenario and role play. There's a lot of people, they might not have experience of a situation, but what they have is they have a fantasy of what they will do. I would do this if that was me. But that's a fantasy. If you don't have any experience of it, that's a fantasy. And reality and fantasy are very different. And when one thing about training using scenarios and role play, it really lets you know if there's scenarios in the role play, as you see when we video, if they're good enough, they will leave you know exactly where you stand that way, because your reaction will be the same. Can you imagine, for any sort of responsible job where your safety is endangered, you should drill it. Can you imagine if the fire brigade didn't do drills? Imagine going to a fire, 4 of them running for the ladder, 3 of them running for the hose, 5 of them running in. The place would be a mess, a complete mess. And if you don't drill this job and start training using scenarios and role play and what you do in the eventuality of this arising and this arising, and start training to deal with these situations, it's similar to the fire brigade. If they don't do the drill, it's going to be a mess. Physical intervention. Yes, there is a need for physical intervention, as much as I would like to think that there never will be in everything else. That's just not realistic. It's not practical. There will be a need for physical intervention, especially in the need to step in and protect other people and to save others. But what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to do it in a professional manner. We're going to teach you proper control and restraint, including voice commands. Because in modern society, Even if you do, if it does go wrong in you and things do get away on you, you're going to be tried by camera, by social media. There's cameras come out of pockets everywhere and you're going to be filmed. At least if they're going to film, let them show you working in a professional manner. Proper control and restraints. Using voice commands. On your belly, on your belly. Can you breathe, sir? Voice commands. Now you look like you're in control. You look like a professional. You're working like a professional. And they can video that all they want. That's the introduction for our first training. Our next video will be on the law regarding working as a bouncer. All our videos will be posted on our page here, Bouncertraining.ie, and on our YouTube channel of the same name. Thank you very much.